Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, a question was asked about the way that basically the question was asked about slaughtering. A new brother was listening to some conversations, and they was basically listening to some brothers referring to about how people don't slaughter for Eid al-Fitr. So they was asking me, like as a criticism. Let me bring that all the way out, because I'm trying to have a conversation without having a conversation to expose everything that was said. But basically, it was like a criticism. Like, people don't know they need to be slaughtering, and. So by them being a new Shahada, it kind of confused them. So they was asking me, what and are we supposed to slaughter for Eid al-Fitr? So with the question that he asked, and being that we're doing a class, I can't give everything because I'm doing it in a manner that the class we're doing, we're going to get to it. So I don't want to get into too much of the answers, because the way that we study and do things, we always leave a portion for research. So that way when they do research, they'll be able to see that the many different opinions that's out there. So I can't give it all. But I'm going to clear up inshallah, I'm going to try to clear up a misconception that some Muslims have. So when it comes to Eid al-Fitr, no, you're not supposed to slaughter. But let me break something down to bring to why us as American Muslims have a lot of these misconceptions. And I want to make something clear a little bit. Sometimes misunderstanding the religion isn't due to the lack of Arabic language, right? It isn't always because we don't understand the Arabic language. Sometimes we just don't understand the religion, because you have some Muslims who's born with the Arabic tongue, and they still don't understand the religion. You see what I'm saying? So it's not always about people having a misunderstanding of the Arabic. Sometimes it's just a misunderstanding of the religion, because as long as, and like even with some books, as long as a person who knew the Arabic and they're teaching it to you in English and they're able to explain it properly, then you'll be able to understand it. So I don't want to say that it's due to a misunderstanding of the Arabic language, but it's due to some people misinterpreting the text that they're reading in English. So first we're going to go through what slaughter is. Okay? So that you can get an understanding, and this is where the misconception comes in. Let's say, and I like to bring it to a simplified term. You and your guys, y'all go fishing. You throw your reel out there. Reeling in. You catch you a fish. You reel it in. Right? Once you take your knife and you cut the head, or however you start with it, the belly, and you cut that fish, guess what you did? You just slaughtered it. Right? When you cut it and you prepare for, even if you're not going to eat it right now and throw it in the freezer, you slaughtered it. All meat in the grocery store that you go buy, it has been slaughtered. Not necessarily saying it's been slaughtered in the ways of Islam, in accordance with Islam, but it's been slaughtered. you have to know the definition of what slaughtered mean. You see what I'm saying? So like, even with your meat that's in the grocery stores, right? Because of people like PETA and animal rights activists and petitions and pushing the government and this and that and the FDA, where they started to put laws in place to where they felt like slaughtering animals was inhumane. So they started to put things in place where the animal had to be like knocked out before it's slaughtered. Or they'd do like a little shock or zap and it pass them out, then the throat is slit. So some people have issue with that. Oh, it ain't permissible to knock them out before you slaughter them, like Islamically. So they'll say that's not halal food or whatever. We're not going to go into that, but I just want to point out all the meat in the grocery store has been slaughtered. So even when you go to a halal place, the meat that's in there, it has been slaughtered. So right here on the board right here, and that's what I want people to understand. So slaughter is just killing an animal for food. You see what I'm saying? But not like, let's say you hunting a deer and you shoot the deer in the head, right? Or in the body, and then it dies and then you get it somewhere. Then you're cutting it up, butchering it. But the slaughtering process isn't what killed it. But so that in that scenario, you killed it and then later you butchered it. Just like you slaughter the animal to bring the death about it so that you can either freeze it or get ready to eat it, then you have to butcher it. Okay? Just there's some difference. So in those times when you didn't have grocery stores, people getting your meat for you, you had your own sheep, you had your own goats. Some areas where they have villages, they live in villages, it's still like that. Everything they eat, they kill on the spot. That's live. That's just basically slaughtering. There's no reward for that. And see, that's why it's things about where it's permissible to eat the meat of the people of the book. Because it's the same food. You see what I'm saying? And they slaughtered as well. So these is things that made it permissible to eat the food of the people of the book. As long as it wasn't a festival where they were sacrificing the animal for some form of an idol. And that's where we get confused. Some people think slaughtering is sacrificing. And it's not. Sacrificing has some form of slaughtering involved. And that's where our issue is. So some people think that they're getting these major rewards because they may have something slaughtered or they may actually slaughter it itself. But when you just go to the times before grocery stores where basically people do the process for you and you buy it already cleaned, slaughtered and this and that for cooking, but it's still slaughtered meat. Not necessarily Islamically in accordance with Sharia. You see what I'm saying? Slaughtering is not sacrificing. So let's say you have halal farms. If I call the halal farm and say, I want a whole goat, but I want it butchered, slaughtered and butchered. Or they just have it already done up and then I come pick it up. If I go get that and distribute it out to the poor or whatever, it's still Islamically slaughtered meat. Now, if I go and get it and slaughter it myself and then butcher it, there's not an added reward for that, Islamically. And then pass the meat out. There's no added reward for that. It's just slaughtering. It's not sacrificing. Now, when it comes to Qurbani, Udhiyah, Qurbani, let's put that on. Qurbani is sacrificing an animal for Allah, or the animal that you did sacrifice for Allah. Udhiyah is the Islamic ritual that involves sacrificing an animal for worship at the time of Eid Adha. So some people confuse what's supposed to be done for Eid Adha around the time of Hajj for the time of Eid al-Fitr. And it's not the same thing. So there's specific times for sacrificing an animal. There's a way it's supposed to be done. There's a dua that's supposed to be involved. Outside of that, you just slaughtering, killing something to eat. Now, with the sacrifice, it's not mandatory that you do it yourself. You could pay for it. The main thing is following the commands of what's supposed to be done with the meat. And it's just recommended, it's mustahab for a portion of it for you to eat yourself. But you don't have to eat any of it yourself. You can give it all away. You know what I'm saying? And this was a time when people were poor, so slaughtering an animal and giving it all away was a difficulty. It was a hardship. So yes, some of it was for them. And then a portion for your family, perhaps some poor people, and then another portion of it for charity. Now, some of the issues that fall into, because people don't understand the difference between slaughtering and sacrificing. When they do slaughter, a portion of the meat doesn't go to charity when they're sacrificing. So due to, we're just going to say the majority of the scholars, if you eat it all, or you eat that portion that should have went for charity, then you liable for it. You still owe it. So that's just to kind of break down the difference between slaughtering and sacrificing. A lot of people slaughter. A lot of the meat that you eat has already been slaughtered. Especially if you go into a halal place. They just slaughtered it for you, but that's for your own table, generally when you go into the store. When you distributing it out to some of your family, not like the family in your house, because that's still you and your family, like some brothers, sisters, your parents, your grandparents, where it's going to get eaten and consumed in a house that you don't live in. And then the other portion is for charity. So this is a part of something that's done at a specific time after the Eid of Hajj, Eid Adha. So after the prayer, then the sacrifice has to be done within a certain period of time. There's no sacrificing outside of that. Except for when you do, there's certain things like a akikah. Some people like to translate that to a baby shower. But most baby showers is more like The English term of baby showers is you have a baby shower and then everybody bring you gifts. In a akika, you're basically inviting the people and then you slaughter something and you're giving that meat out as a charity on the birth of your child. You're basically giving that sadaqah on behalf of your newborn child, basically. I don't want to give it all away. I'm being careful because, like I said, we do classes and there's some for research, so I don't want to give all the answers, but I am giving enough for people to get a gist of what I'm trying to say. And if they want to go look into it more themselves, then they can. Right? So, akika, right? You can see some may do it for a walima, right? But these are slaughterings, not sacrifices. Now I say with a akika, a little different, but like I'm saying, these are slaughterings. These aren't the same things as part of the Islamic ritual of udhiyah. You see what I'm saying? Where it's done for Eid Adha. Some people, because they may have seen in English where it says slaughter for the Eid, they may have read something or seen a meme on slaughter for the Eid. So some people might do that after Ramadan, but they're getting their Eids mixed up. But it's still alhamdulillah. If you buy an animal and you slaughter it and distribute the meat, yeah, there's definitely, hands down, a reward for that, because that's still sadaqah. But it's not sacrificing for udhiyah at the time of the sacrificing. So because people don't understand the difference between slaughtering and sacrificing and qurbani, they kind of just got it all mixed up into one glob, and you might do it for Eid al-Fitr but not do it for Eid Adha when the reward is there for it, when the time to do it is there for it. Just like how you have an Islamic time for everything, right? You can't fast for Ramadan and Shaban. You can't make Salatul Fajr at the time of Isha. Right? These type of things. You can't make Hajj in the month of Rajab. It's just going to be referred to as, you can go do the rituals, but it's going to be considered to be what? Umrah. You can't do the sacrifice of Eid Adha for Eid al-Fitr. So that's the difference. So no, you don't have to. I mean, it's not mandatory. And then even for Eid Adha, there is some scholars who don't feel like that is mandatory. It's a sunnah. It's up to you. Some scholars. I do it. You know what I'm saying? For Eid Adha. But I do, not to go into what I do, but I do it for the time that it's supposed to be done. So for the person that they was listening to and talking to, especially saying it in a level of like they was one up in the Muslims and they was more on it and the other Muslims was off of it, unfortunately they got they peas mixed up. Like they used to say in the streets, they got their peas mixed up. You know what I'm saying? They got it confused. Again, that's something for Eid Adha, and there's a big difference between slaughtering and sacrificing. When you in the days and times before grocery stores, you slaughtered every single animal that you ate. That's not a sacrifice for Allah. That's something you're doing to eat. Yeah, you're supposed to say Bismillah before you do it, but you're supposed to say Bismillah before you do everything. So that's not a fisi bilillah thing. That's for you to eat. That's why when the sacrificing, a portion of it, I don't, from when I'm doing sacrificing, I don't eat any of it. You see what I'm saying? I get a whole thing away. Yeah. From whatever I could get. Inshallah ta'ala, man, one day Allah bless me to be able to sacrifice a camel. Now, I'm going to show you what I have been toying with. Right now, there's some halal farms that has ostrich meat and they have camel meat. And wallahi, I have ordered some of the camel meat from them just to, cook it up, see what was to it, see how I felt about it. So I might get a portion of a camel, have it slaughter a camel, and then give some camel out, because they say camel is the biggest reward. You know what I'm saying? A camel is the biggest reward because, look at how big a camel is. So, inshallah, man, may Allah bless me to be able to, sacrifice a camel and distribute the whole camel out. You know what I mean? So, that's hopefully without giving up everything, this bring people to some form of an understanding that need this conversation. There's a big difference between slaughtering and sacrificing. The reward is not in slaughtering. So like even when you go to like certain ayats in the Quran where it says it's not about the slaughtering. The blood and the meat isn't what reaches Allah. It's the piety. You know what I'm saying? The purpose in what you're doing it for and the giving it out. Not the simple fact that you cut an animal neck and ate the food. You know what I'm saying? So like, and that's why I bring it down to give people an example, and I use fishing as an example because that's generally the only time a lot of us the ones who go fishing, where we actually killing that and eating it or cutting it up ourselves, even if we just putting it in the freezer. Because we really not going and killing our own cows and sheeps on a daily basis to eat. Like we not milking our own sheep. We getting everything from a halal store, the grocery store. Halal meat that's in grocery stores, which is all slaughtered meat. So again, slaughtering and sacrificing is not the same thing. It's not. And once you understand that, and then you start to look into it and do the research and understand that aspect, and then inshallah some of these people mindset will change. You know what I'm saying? Some of their mindsets will change. Inshallah. So just speak it on this briefly, because like the way that the conversation was had, where possibly unintentionally the Muslim was looking down on other Muslims that didn't slaughter, and like basically he felt like they had the means to, and they wasn't slaughtering, and this gonna happen, this and that. Like they fall in a particular category, but it's the wrong time. This doesn't have to be done at the end of Ramadan, bruh. But the way that he was, so basically, mixing up rulings. But in Islam, there's a story, true story, right? And I'm trying not to give it like I want. I don't want to say whether it's in Quran or Hadith. I'm gonna put it that way. I hate I had to say that, but I have to do it this way so somebody don't jump in my comments or telegram me. How you talking about? You don't really know the story, or crazy stuff. So in Islam, there's a story that we can learn from. It was a brother who had, I'm going to say, a garden, right? Because, like, they could have had, like, you look at the time of the Salaf in them times, like, they could have had a garden of date trees. Like us in America, and I'm being specific, because, like, what could be a garden in other areas, we might not consider it a garden. Like if you see a field of apple trees, you won't be like, that's a garden of apple trees. You see what I'm saying? So like with them, a garden could have consisted of date trees. But anyway, so he had a garden, he had some nice things, and he felt like Allah loved him and he was above another person who didn't have those things. But that other person wasn't chasing that. The other person, we'll say per se, he could have been a student where he's chasing knowledge of the religion. And I'm mentioning that because you have stories about companions who followed the Rasul all day. They didn't go get a business. They wasn't into buying and selling and profiting. They was chasing the deen. And then certain companions who was more involved in business, then when a situation came, they didn't know the hadith for nothing. And then they used to fault themselves and be like, I was too busy working on business and stuff that I didn't get this Islamic knowledge. So this could have been a person who was just a knowledge seeker. So he wasn't really trying to have date trees and things for profit. But long story short, so this other person felt like Allah loved him because he had all this. Allah blessed him more than anybody else. He was favored with Allah. And he said some things, right? And then a person who didn't have it was basically, who had that him, was basically trying to let him know, man, Allah could take all that away from you. You see what I'm saying? So long story short, because it's for research, I'm giving away too much of it, making it easier to find. But it's alhamdulillah. So the man ended up losing all of it. You know what I'm saying? Allah caused him to lose it all and took it away from him. Sometimes us Muslims, we fall into that. Because, and I mention it all the time, because we may have cars, because we may have education, or because we may have this, we may tend to look at others in the wrong type of way, but we looking at them in the wrong type of way because we think that Allah love us to an extent. That's why we have all this dunya. We get a new car and just be like, man, I know Allah love me. The love Allah have for me, look at this car he blessed me with. I'm doing this and that. I got a promotion. That's because Allah loved me. But then we look at other people and be like, they ain't even getting no promotions. Or like the brother, because he may have cut the neck of an animal to eat, didn't really distribute it. And now, I feel like these people should be slaughtering. If they not slaughtering because they don't understand, they don't know no better. But this is at a time when there is no sacrificing. You're just killing an animal for food, B. So we have to be careful, man, and look at these stories and learn from them, because some of us fall into it. Just like there's a difference in, like, let's say you have some Muslims who have some Islamic education and they trying to teach the people. The people who's being taught sometimes will look at the teacher like they looking down on them when they really trying to educate them. See, and I want to point that out, because when we in school, if we on a college level and we have a professor, or in a high school level and we had all these different teachers, and a teacher is educating us in class, we didn't look at them like, oh, y'all just think y'all better than us because y'all teachers. But in an urban Islamic setting, we do that. Although we came to the class. Some people come to the class just to pout about getting educated. Oh, you think this, he think that. So they may come off like, or because now you talking about something they didn't know, or they had a misconception about, and then you prove it to them, they get mad about it. You know, we need a lot of work, and it's because sometimes they are those type of individuals who think Allah has so much crazy, stupendous love for them because they might have a Saab. You know, they might have a German car or something. You know, they might have a drop top 6'4" or something. And I'm trying to name cars that I don't think people have, so that somebody won't think I'm pointing out them specifically. You feel me? So we just have to be careful, man. And I'm glad that the brother came and said something to me, but not saying I instructed him like I'm his instructor. Get out there and listen to the people, man. Mix and mingle. You know what I'm saying? Don't automatically take something that somebody say because they say they Salafi, because they could be wrong. Because unfortunately, this conversation was with some people who were Salafi. And it's not right. Not bashing them, but don't automatically take something because somebody say they Salafi. And then don't automatically reject something that somebody else say because they don't say they are Salafi. You see what I'm saying? You need to go look all into it. You see what I'm saying? And that's just the bottom line. There is a difference between slaughtering and sacrificing. And when you look at the fish analogy, you'll understand that. And when you look at the days in the past, people had to kill, if they had to kill to eat every time they ate, unless they killed and then they had enough meat to last for a certain amount of time, right? But then when that ran out, they had to kill again. And even if they share some of the meat, that's not sacrificing for Allah. And see, that's what some people are doing. But they thinking that they getting a reward for sacrificing for Allah. But this is done during the time of Eid Adha. And when you look into, for the people in the class, when you look at why it's at that specific time, what it symbolizes, why it's even done, then it'll make more sense. There's a certain purpose for sacrificing at that time. You understand? So anyway, man, hopefully that ties into it, man. And then we don't want to be the individual. You know, we want to try to be our best to not be the individual that think because we have certain things that other people don't, that means Allah just love us so much and we so highly favored and blessed. You know what I'm saying? Or when you see certain Muslims that's on a different type of level and it's baffling, that's a moment when a person's supposed to say, man, alhamdulillah, thank you Allah for allowing me to not be like that. Especially if you could recognize at one point in time that you was that way, and then you could say, alhamdulillah, thank you Allah for allowing me to come out of that state. Because Allah could have left me in that type of state. He could have left other people in that type of state. Those are alhamdulillah moments. You know what I'm saying? And then if you try to talk to them, give them some sincere advice. We know that, you know how to say that in Arabic, but I'm gonna keep it like we know how to give them some sincere Islamic advice to pull them up out of that. And if they reject it, that's on them. You just have to watch where the chips fall where they may. So a lot of this stuff what we talking about, you can find in Surah. Let me pull up a Quran. I'm gonna read a short ayat, then I'm gonna close it out, man. It's almost 4 a.m., so I gotta get to what I need to get to. Surah. It's Hajj. Surah 22. Hajj. And we've been touching some of this, but it'll break down certain things about sacrificing, the rites of Hajj, different things like that. There's a whole lot to it. But I want to read an ayat in the beginning, right? To show, man, this is man, this is a beautiful surah. Surah 22. Look at this right here. Ayat number 11. And the theme of it, what you should get from these ayats is half-hearted worship. So it says, starting at 11, and there are some who worship Allah on the verge of faith, on the edge. They're not really wholeheartedly on the deen. They're not wholeheartedly with their worship. It's a part of them that's still playing Islam. Like how, like one of the brothers said the other day, you see people who play church. There's some people that play Islam. But, you know, Islam is real to them. They believe in it. Certain aspects of it that leads to rewards and stuff that they get. So they worship Allah half-hearted, on the verge of faith. Like they almost got the right type of iman. They're not wholehearted with it, right? Look what it says. If they are blessed with something good, they are content with the deen of Islam. I'm good. I got it going on. Allah loves me. Right? I'm highly favored and blessed. Those Christian terms. I'm highly blessed and favored by my Lord. Right? But if they are afflicted with a trial, if they get hit with some afflictions, that's a test. Right? When they say a trial, if they tested with some affliction, they relapse into disbelief. Now, what does this mean? You see some Muslims, Allah blessed them with companionship. They married. When she didn't have a husband and he didn't have a wife, Allah blessed them, a Muslim brother with a Muslim sister and a Muslim sister with a Muslim brother. Right? It's all good. But then when they start to have problems in the marriage and the afflictions and the tests come, the sister start taking her hijabs off. Or halfway do her hijabs. Or different parts about her deen. I don't know about this. They struggling on whether they should stay Muslim or not. The brother relapse and may go back to drugs and alcohol, may go back to girlfriends, side pieces. See, when those afflictions and those different things start to come in, they relapse and go back to certain forms of how they was before they accepted Islam. Man, Joe, I just need me a joint, man. I need to chief me one. I need a drink. I can't handle it. Man, my job, I don't believe. Let me hit these streets and get me $1 or $2. I had every Muslim sister I had problems with, man. Let me go do the kafirs. And then still have the same problems out of them, but it's different because they don't know how to hold you accountable for your Islam, brother. But you still done relapsed when it wasn't good no more. What does it say? What does this Quran ayat say though? The ones that you see doing that, they was already worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal. They was already practicing this deen half-hearted. They was on the edge. They wasn't all the way in it to begin with. They not all the way in it to begin with. And this is why when you see these type of individuals who will come to a class to get educated, but then get mad at the teacher for educating them because something is going to get brought back that requires them to change or stop doing what they're doing. This isn't a judgment. And like if you say this to people or you bring this up in a khutbah, some people going to feel judged. But how can they say that when Allah Azza wa Jal is pointing this out? So that you know, so that you can either see it in yourself or see it in your environment. Look what else it say, right? Therefore, losing this world and the hereafter. That is truly the clearest loss. That's a loss that's obvious. But they might have material. They might be a hospital doctor. They might have a mansion. But some people look at all the material, but how have they lost this world? Because they miserable. They got all this stuff, but they still not happy. They ain't got that woman they had where it was happiness. They ain't got that husband they had where it was happiness. You see what I'm saying? They Islam ain't the same. They ain't reading their Quran. They not even on the path that leads to Jannah. They done lost the dunya and the hereafter, man. But they can't perceive that, man. They can't perceive that. Then look what it say. They cause besides Allah what can neither harm nor benefit them. That is truly the furthest one can stray. This is in Hajj, the surah about Hajj, but it get into it about the sacrifices, man. So we want to avoid being this, man. So one thing about the Deen of Islam, it requires you to be extremely honest with yourself. Because if you lie to yourself, you're lying to yourself, man. You're lying to yourself. And some people have to lie to themselves or they can't sleep at night, man. They not comfortable with who they really are. So some people have to lie to themselves, man. Oh, Allah loved me. I'm highly favored and blessed. But then let an affliction kick in. And watch how much Islam they put on the back burner. You know? Allah is letting it know right there from the beginning. They wasn't worshiping Allah for real, for the purposes of Allah. They was half-hearted. They was only in it for what they feel like what Islam supposed to do for them. They wasn't chasing Jannah for real. They was chasing material. They was chasing love from other people. They was chasing friendships, popularity. See, you have some individual, and I'm just keeping it Dougie, man. Like I tell people, man, this stuff like the streets, man, for certain cultural backgrounds. You might have somebody who's a dust ball in the streets, but they want to be popular in the streets, and it just ain't happening for them. So they start to try to achieve popularity in the community, in the Muslim community, in their environment. Like they try to turn it into a popularity contest at the masjids. And this ain't me speculating. This is stuff I done heard from people's mouth. We the ones. Oh man, them brothers coming in, man, with them hadith stuff. They just trying to take over the masjid from us. You know, it was all fine and then we been here the longest. Man, this ain't no popularity contest, man. Get your deen together, B. You know what I'm saying? Look, this gonna sound kind of tricky, man. And this is something that I ask particular Muslims, man, when they having marital issues. And I hate to say this, not all the time, sometimes for the brothers, but the majority of the times, I had to ask the wife. And y'all feel me on this one, man. Listen to me closely. I ask them, would you rather be liked or would you rather be loved? Right? You know what they say? It be the male and the female, but I had to ask the females this more than the males. They would say, I would rather be loved than liked. And then I had to point out to them, why would you buck against the person that loves you and go against the grain for some people that you want to like you? You out here trying to impress and listen to some people that you want to like you. You don't even know if they like you. Just to go against the grain for the person that loves you. That's backwards. But you would sit here in front of me and claim you would rather be loved than liked. If you really feel that way, then act like it. And see, these are some of the issues that we have. If you would rather be loved than liked, then act like it, man. You don't want to choose. If Allah Azza wa Jal is trying to bring you to the position where you're loved by Allah genuinely and you love Allah, why would you sacrifice and play games with that for some people that you want to like you, hoping that one day that they grow to love you? But you might not look at it that far, because these just associates, people you work with, people who you feel like at the masjid with all this dunya, who really fit in the category perfectly that Allah is saying right there. They ain't even worshiping the deen of Islam wholeheartedly. They don't worship Allah with their whole heart. They just on the verge of getting there. You know what I'm saying? They're on the verge of belief, of iman. They're on the verge of getting it. They worship like they on the edge. And how you could notice them? Because when it's all good and they getting what they want, And like I said, people who listen to my channels, man, they know I talk about plenty of Muslims who leave Islam, or they stop some of the sisters, they stop covering up, they start messing with Kafir men because they feel like they not getting what they want from Islam. I ain't getting nothing out of it. Yeah, when I hear him talk like that, Allah know what he's talking about. So I don't have to put my spin or my emotion on it. If Allah say in the Quran, those type of individuals is like that because they didn't worship wholeheartedly, they was half-hearted, they was on the verge of Iman, I can't argue or debate or dispute that. That's not judging them. You falling in line with exactly what Allah say in the Quran. You wasn't in it in the first place. And we're not talking about like little kids who may have just was raised Muslim, but parents who couldn't really teach them, or one parent trying to teach them, then the other parent, well, I want them to choose Islam. I want them to know other stuff and then see if they decide Islam on their own. All that type of, that ain't even a Muslim mindset. You know what I'm saying? That ain't even a way that a Muslim's supposed to think when they have true Iman. But these is real scenarios, so the kid be back and forth and confused. And they're going to choose what they see in society. We talking about grown people, man. So all of this, man, we need to take into account and be honest with ourselves and see where we really, really stand, man. A lot of us have good Muslim friendships, and like you might have a Muslim companion, man, that y'all really have some real love for each other, but you may allow that to be jeopardized, man, for some people that you want to like you. You still trying to get their approval. You caught up in a popularity contest at the masjid. We got to be careful, man. We got to be mindful, man. So let me close it out. Keep in mind, man, slaughtering does not mean sacrificing. You understand? So you really got to know the rules and regulations just to make sure that you really doing what's in accordance when you call yourself doing something. Not what you think, not what you heard. Because Allah only going to accept Islam, man. Slaughtering is not sacrificing, man. And like I say, again, just to reiterate and to repeat, look at how it was before grocery stores and fast food places where you could go get your food already cooked, your hot and readies, and your little carts and all that, where people had to kill what they ate. So because we in a society, generally the only time we killing what we eat if you're a person who fish. So because we not in a society where we kill what we eat, we think slaughtering is some type of ritual that make us better with Allah. Now, when it's the time for slaughtering and sacrificing, yeah. But anything else outside of that, you can't just make it an Islamic ritual that wasn't already there. But like I said, not fully having that understanding and being able to grasp it because we buy all our food. Now I'm finna go get me something, man, and slaughter it. And I'm finna cook that meat up and might have me a little bit to pass out for Eid al-Fitr. Might not even be a saw. Because like I say, man, your minimum is a saw when you have it. And I point it out because I keep it right next to me. I keep my mud. Because I make wudu and stuff with my mud. Alhamdulillah, it's copper too. Real copper for people who understand what copper is. The benefits of copper. And then a saw. So I'm finna get me a goat and then I'm finna sacrifice it, and I'm finna start passing it out for Eid al-Fitr, but then you don't even give away a sa of it. But you under the impression that you done did Eid Adha, Udhiyah, during the time of Eid al-Fitr, so you don't even know to give a sa. You're mixing it all up. And Rasul, when you know about ghusl and what they made ghusl with, how much water they use for ghusl, when you actually get the real measurements and you do it, like to make wudu with a mud, ghusl, and or to take a flat out bath with a sa or two sa. I'm trying to. I don't want to say what it is because there's research coming. I don't want to get an answers for the class or 4 sas. But when you actually do it yourself, you'd be like, man, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I'm an individual who's done it myself. Often. And I'd be like, man, alhamdulillah, man. You will start to see the wisdom that Allah Azza wa Jal gave Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the hikmah. And they was in the hot desert, the simplicity, you could really see the simplicity of the deen, where we I don't want to say overcompensate, that ain't the right word, but we overcomplicate it. We make it complicated by not really knowing and understanding. But anyway, man, I got to do what I got to do, man. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, man. Be careful, man. Pay attention to that Quran ayat and that story that I told. We don't want to be those individuals that's like, I'm highly favoring blessed because I got all this. And you're not. Allah feeling me way more than he feel you. Because it be, this is a thing. Let me tell y'all this and I'm going to close. Because it be funny. Because like I said, I'm going to keep it 100. You're not going to see me materialized up. You're not finna see me in the freshest of cars. I work at the same places a lot of people work at. I can go get the same stuff they got. But you're not going to see me like that. Right? You're not going to see certain things in my home. But listen to this. You actually have some Muslims that advise other Muslims that I'm not a Muslim to listen to because I don't have all that material. Like if his Islam was all that, he'd be in a bigger house. If his Islam was all that, he'd be riding around here in a drop top Benz. See, we the ones that listen to, we $200,000 in debt, no food in the house, no laundry detergent. We taking showers with water. We ain't even got soap to take showers with. You know what I'm saying? No deodorant. and I'm not trying to be funny. This real talk. But they'll put off a notion, man, Allah ain't blessed him. He ain't got no fresh clothes. He ain't got no jewels. He ain't got no fancy glasses on. You know what I'm saying? He ain't running around with some sister, you know, making buku bucks and she's a hustler and all that. Allah ain't even blessed him. What are you gonna teach us? See, he need to quit following that Arab stuff and get on this black religion, this black Islam, and he'll have a bunch of material. And I'm not trying to be funny. These is actual, real statements and conversations. But the point is, it's not like I can't have those things. It's not like I can't do it. I just choose not to. Because I've been that before. I grew up that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not fascinated by that. I know what it's like to live that way, and I know the hardship. People don't be happy, man, for real. I'm happy with this deen, man. Allah Azza wa Jal, alhamdulillah, is sufficient for me. Now, of course, it is other things that I do want, but if Allah don't give it to me, I ain't gonna have it. I ain't gonna chase it. But anyway, man, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Be mindful, man. We don't want to be that. That Quran ayat. When you start to see those things, and you see Muslims, man, it ain't judging you in a Muslim environment, and you sit back and be like, it ain't no way. Ain't no way they reading the Quran. It ain't, because look, in one of my videos, and I'm going to be gone. It was, he was supposed to be a student of Hadith, but not in the university, but sitting under the Sheikh. And the Sheikh, dude came to the table, the Sheikh was at the little table with the mic and all that, and the Sheikh said to him, there's no way you reading the books of Hadith. And he's supposed to be reading Sahih Bukhari. There's no way you reading Sahih Bukhari. The brother just like, I'm looking at you. I'm around you. There's no way you reading Hadiths, man. There's no way. So sometimes you might be in the environment and be like, man, how the heck, man, do some people read the Quran and still act like this? It's because they're not reading it, brother. But that's not a judgment. But the thing is, when you know how to look into your Quran, the Quran gonna tell you right then and there. Man, them people half-hearted, man. Allah is sitting up making it clear. Them type of individuals, they half-hearted, man. They don't worship Allah wholeheartedly. They just on the verge of getting there. Look at the choices that they make when they don't get what they want. Like Allah Azza wa Jal said, they're going to start making up their own religion to justify what they're doing. They're going to make their own deen up. Then they're going to start to sound like them bad kafirs. Oh, well, I got my own personal relationship with Allah. Allah knows what's in my heart. Yeah, and Allah put in the Quran, plain as day, what's in it. For people who looking at you, or for you to look at the mirror and be honest with yourself and say, man, I fall in this category. Allah, please help me come up out of it. You know what I'm saying? Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.